20 platformers. One platform. These are the games that prove the Switch was built for this genre. Don't let the yarn fool you. What looks like a Saturday morning cartoon hides one of the most inventive level designs Nintendo has shipped in years. Yoshi's crafted world is built around a single, deceptively clever idea. Every stage can be played front to back and then flipped, literally reversed, revealing a completely different world made of cardboard, bottle caps, and balled-up tape. It's the same level. It's a different game. The attention to craft here is almost theatrical. Nintendo EAD built stages around papier-mâché trees, juice boxes, and folded foil. It's not just cute. It's a coherent artistic statement about how imagination turns junk into worlds. There's a specific joy in recognizing the wrong side of an obstacle you just passed through. It's softer than most of this list. Easier, too. But Yoshi's crafted world doesn't need hard to be worthwhile. Some of the best design ideas on this entire console are in here, gift-wrapped in felt. Before indie gaming was a scene, before pixel art was a trend, before Team Cherry or Matty Thorson had shipped a thing, one guy spent 5 years in his bedroom making what is essentially the template for everything that came after. Cave Story was released in 2004. It still holds up in ways that embarrass games made with 10 times the budget. Daisuke Amaya, working under the name Pixel, designed every sprite, programmed every system, and composed every track alone. The result was a 2D action-adventure with non-linear exploration, multiple endings, and a story that earns its emotional weight. The Switch version adds updated visuals, remastered music, and a new soundtrack option. But the soul is untouched. Play it original soundtrack, original visuals. Let it hit the way it hit in 2004. This game wants you to die. Not occasionally. Constantly. It has built its entire design around the beautiful physics of a block of meat hitting a buzzsaw at 60 frames per second. And the thing is, it never stops being funny. Super Meat Boy turns failure into comedy and comedy into obsession. Team Meat's achievement here isn't just the brutality. It's the precision. Every death teaches you something. Every replay starts in under a second. You're never waiting. You're never frustrated with the game, only with yourself. That's a design distinction most developers never crack. The light warp replay at the end of each level, showing every failed attempt simultaneously, became iconic for a reason. It's not rubbing your face in it. It's showing you the work. People sleep on this one. Of all the Kirby games on Switch, Return to Dreamland Deluxe is the one that most commits to being a real platformer. Challenging, mechanically dense, and paced for players who want more than a stroll. The 2011 original was already one of the best in the series. This remake sharpens everything. HAL Laboratory added Magolor Epilogue as a standalone mode. A much harder, more mechanically complex campaign that plays like a different game entirely. It's the closest Kirby has come to genuinely demanding something from players since the SNES era. Copy abilities feel weighty. Boss fights actually push back. 4-player co-op remains best in class. Show this to someone who doesn't play games, and watch them clear the entire thing in a weekend. For a franchise that spent 15 years making headlines for the wrong reasons, Sonic Mania hit like an apology and a flex delivered simultaneously. Christian Whitehead, Pagoda West, and Headcanon, superfans, not internal Sega devs, built the definitive Sonic game. Sega's own teams hadn't done that in 2 decades. The physics engine is rebuilt from first principles. It feels exactly right in a way that Sonic games hadn't in years. Classic stages are remixed, so even franchise veterans get surprised. New zones like Press Garden and Studio Polis could have been in a mid-90s Sonic game, and you'd have believed it. The Plus expansion adds Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel with genuinely different playstyles. One of those rare sequels to a genre's golden age that actually belongs there. The first Yooka-Laylee was a nostalgia bet that didn't fully pay off. The impossible Lair reversed the formula and made something better than the thing it was imitating. Playtonic moved from 3D collectathon to 2.5D precision platformer, and in doing so, found the game they should have made first. The structure is fascinating. You can attempt the final level, the impossible Lair, from the very beginning of the game. You'll probably fail. But as you clear the overworld chapters, you unlock enhancements that give you a fighting chance. It's a design built around giving players agency and then making that agency matter. Playtonic is stacked with former Rare veterans, Banjo-Kazooie developers who genuinely know the genre. It shows in every frame. Three PlayStation-era platformers, remastered on a handheld you can take anywhere. For a certain generation, opening Crash 1 in handheld mode for the first time was a genuinely emotional experience. For everyone else, it's one of the most compact and demanding classic platformer packages available on Switch. Vicarious Visions rebuilt all three games from scratch. New assets, lighting, animations, while keeping the original level geometry intact. The result is faithful enough to feel authentic and polished enough to feel modern. Crash 2 remains the trilogy's peak. Tighter controls, better level design, and a boss roster that holds up embarrassingly well. Worth noting, the original Crash controls were notoriously narrow and the remasters kept them. Intentionally. It's not a bug. The pitch. What if Banjo-Kazooie, but made by one person using Unreal Engine 4 with the genuine intention of making something joyful? Gears for Breakfast's Mad Stigzelius built a hat in time as a love letter to the 3D collectathon era and landed with one of the most praised indie platformers of the decade. Hat Kid doesn't just run and jump. She crafts hats that change how she moves through space, creates platforms, and bends time. The game is mechanically generous and spatially inventive. Mafia Town is one of the best first levels in recent memory. Immediately readable, full of secrets, and funny. The community created hundreds of mods. New levels, new abilities, new story chapters. The base game earned a Metacritic score in the low 80s, but an 8.8 user score that tells you more than the critics did. Before Moon Studios made the follow-up, they made a debut so visually arresting that screenshots circulated as wallpapers. Ori and the Blind Forest is the kind of first game that makes you wonder what the studio spent the previous decade doing. The answer is nothing. This was their actual first game, and it looked like this. The movement mechanics are built around a single transformative idea: the Spirit Flame, which charges off enemies and propels Ori in any direction. It turns the world into a physics puzzle. Every ledge, enemy, and platform becomes a potential launch point. The opening sequence is genuinely devastating. Not for everyone, but the people it gets completely. Kirby's first proper 3D adventure, and Nintendo didn't ease into it. They put Kirby in a post-apocalyptic shopping mall and gave him the ability to eat cars. Mouthful Mode which lets Kirby inhale objects far too large to swallow and transform around them, is one of the stranger game mechanics Nintendo has invented in recent years. It is also completely delightful. HAL Laboratory built Forgotten Land as a proper 3D platformer. Not a 2D game with depth added, but a full spatial experience with camera movement, exploration, and secret areas that reward going off the beaten path. Boss fights are more complex than anything in the series' history. The final acts genuinely escalate, sitting at an 85 on Metacritic but an 8.5 user score that it earned cleanly. The second half of this game is remarkable. They drew every frame by hand. Over 100 artists. 4 years. Working in 1930s rubber hose animation style because the studio MDHR brothers wanted to make something that looked unlike anything else in games. They did. Cuphead is a boss rush platformer with run and gun stages connecting them. It is brutally, structurally difficult, but fair in a way that makes the difficulty addictive rather than punishing. Every death is a failure of execution, not design. And the execution required is extraordinary. The DLC expansion, The Delicious Last Course, added Ms. Chalice as a playable character and a new island that matches, and in some cases exceeds, the quality of the original. Critics who reviewed it gave it the same score as the base game. They weren't wrong. This is the best 2D platformer Ubisoft has ever made, and they haven't come close since. Rayman Legends began as a Wii U launch title, got delayed, became a multi-platform release, and somehow none of that chaos touched the final game. It is immaculate. Michel Ancel's team built stages around music synchronization, platforming sequences timed to classical remixes and rock covers with such precision that clearing them feels like conducting. Murphy stages, where a second player controls the environment, were designed for touchscreen and translated perfectly to Switch's handheld mode. The definitive edition packs in Rayman Origins as bonus content. That alone is worth the price. But play Legends first. Let the Castle Rock level happen to you cold. Super Mario 3D World was excellent. It came out on Wii U, which meant almost nobody played it. The Switch port corrected that. But Bowser's Fury, the expansion bundled with the port, is the more interesting conversation. Bowser's Fury is a single-session, open-world Mario experience that runs about 3 hours. It is dense, strange, and mechanically bold. Bowser erupts periodically and transforms the world into a dangerous, rain-soaked chaos state. You fight to clear islands. He keeps coming back. It has the feel of a proof of concept for something much larger, and that something larger is worth speculating about. The base game of 3D World holds up completely. Co-op is still one of the best local multiplayer experiences on the system. Play both. Play Fury twice. The Kongs hadn't had a proper new adventure in over a decade. Donkey Kong Bonanza wasn't just a return. It was a statement about what Nintendo first-party development looks like when the people who made Odyssey get a second shot. Because that's exactly who made this. The Super Mario Odyssey team, reassigned. The voxel-based destruction system is the headline mechanic. DK punches through terrain, not scripted chunks, but genuinely physics-driven voxel geology. Mountains crumble, floors collapse. The levels are designed as layered geological puzzles. Solving them means reading the environment and choosing where to break it. Critics gave it a 94. The community consensus is that Nintendo made something that earns that number. After 15 years away from proper 3D, Donkey Kong is back and making claims. Take an 18-year-old GameCube game, rebuild the lighting engine from scratch, update the models, add dual-stick controls, release it for $40 with almost no marketing, direct to Nintendo eShop, and watch it sell out physically within days because nobody expected it to be this good. Metroid Prime Remastered is a case study in how to remaster something correctly. Retro Studios' original architecture, the pacing, the atmosphere, the environmental storytelling, is completely preserved. The new coat of paint makes it look like a current generation game. The 97 Metacritic score from 2002 was not an accident, and this version reminds you why. The visor systems, the scan lore, the ambient sound design. Prime built its world through layers that most games don't bother with. Sitting with Phendrana Drifts for the first time is still an experience. Mercury Steam came back after Samus Returns earned cautious praise and delivered the Metroid game that defined what the series becomes in 2D. Dread is tense, mechanically confident, and built around a fear system, the EMMI robots, that genuinely works. You cannot fight them. You can only run. The movement toolkit Samus has in Dread is the most expressive she's ever been in 2D. Slide, counter, flash shift, phantom cloak. The game is designed for players who will master all of it and feel genuinely powerful. Those who do find a platformer that rewards skill in ways that approach the mastery curve of Dark Souls. Metacritic sits at 88. Community consensus puts it higher. Whatever score it carries, Dread marks the best Nintendo has done with this franchise's 2D branch in 20 years. Everything the first Ori did, the sequel does with more control, more confidence, and a willingness to push harder emotionally. Moon Studios refined the movement system, added a proper combat layer, and built a world that is larger, richer, and somehow more affecting than the original. The soundtrack is extraordinary. The art direction evolves without abandoning what made Blind Forest beautiful. The new movement abilities, Spirit Arc, the Light Burst, turn traversal into an acrobatic language that takes an hour to learn and a full run to master. The late-game areas reward that mastery in ways that make you feel genuinely skilled. In a just world, this gets more credit in platformer conversations. Hollow Knight and Celeste dominate those discussions. Wisps belongs there with them. Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry made Celeste during a game jam in 4 days, then spent 2 years making the real version. The result was a platformer that used its mechanics as metaphor, climbing a mountain as an anxiety spiral, every jump a negotiation with fear, and did it without once feeling pretentious. The precision platforming here is world-class. The B-sides and C-sides, hidden levels that escalate difficulty to frankly absurd heights, were designed for players who finished the game and wanted something that would break them. Chapter 9. Farewell is one of the hardest and most satisfying platforming sequences ever designed. Sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, won multiple Game of the Year awards in 2018. The conversation around it as one of the greatest games of the decade hasn't cooled. Three developers, 2 years. A hand-drawn underground civilization of insects that took longer to map than most AA games take to build. Team Cherry made Hollow Knight on a budget that wouldn't cover a month of marketing at a major studio, and produced something that competes, genuinely competes, with the best games ever made. The combat is precise. The exploration is vast. The lore is dense and delivered entirely through environmental storytelling and optional NPC dialogue. The Hallownest map reveals itself slowly, earning every new room. The optional Pantheon Challenge areas, added post-launch and free DLC extend the difficulty ceiling to somewhere near the stratosphere. Sitting at an 87 on Metacritic, which measures critical consensus at launch, it does not measure the 400 hours players have poured into it, and the speedrun community that still evolves the strats, or the reason this is still the first answer to what should I play on Switch? Play it.